Alright guys, Karan Jones here, back at you with another review of Boom Studios' Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Yeah! Ah man, this issue number 12 is just, before I even review it, I just have to say I was on the edge of my seat, literally, when I was reading this issue. Man, it is just a fantastic read. I have to give this issue props, because it definitely keeps you engaged. And it is just refreshing, and it is adventurous, it is amazing. I don't even have all the words to describe how excited I was when I was reading this particular issue. So I just had to get that out and let you guys know this issue, this series, definitely worth the read. Pick it up if you are a fan of Power Rangers. Make sure you guys are tuning in to Boom Studios' Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Alright? So, nonetheless, it picks up right after issue 11, where we're introduced, where Tommy and Billy are introduced to Lord Draken, and we find out the identity of Lord Draken, who is Tommy, from a different dimension or world. We don't quite know exactly yet, if it's just like a parallel dimension or a future. I guess we'll just have to continue reading. Obviously, they continue their dialogue, and Tommy, doesn't accept the fact that, Lord Draken is him. He's like, hey, you aren't me. And Lord Draken's like, no, I'm a better you. And, calls for the Mastodon Sentry to take both Billy and Tommy and, put him on his ship and lock them up. And he says he will finally have the saber after all of these years. I'm assuming he's talking about Saba. And mind you, in the last issue, Saba was locked away in the command center, the destroyed, old command center. Saba was locked away, so I'm assuming Lord Draken didn't have access to it, or I don't know if he knew it was there or not. I'm just assuming he just didn't have the ability or access to get into the command center, and maybe Saba had something to do with that, as he was locked away. And I think Saba actually mentioned something about he would only be awakened by someone pure of heart. In this issue, he mentions that. And so, Saba creates this diversion to get them, out of the situation from Lord Draken. He ends up calling the Tiger Zord. We see the Tiger Zord in this issue, which is pretty darn awesome. And, the Tiger Zord, just causes some destruction and kind of allows for them to have a diversion, which allows Tommy and Billy to get away, and Saba leads them to the Falcon Zord. So we see not only the Tiger Zord in this, but we also see the Falcon Zord, both of the White Rangers Zords, which was just like, holy crap, this is awesome, being able to see both of those Zords in the same comic book. Yes, that was awesome. I was very excited to see that. And I like something that, Billy and Saba are kind of talking about in this moment, because both, Tommy and Billy are looking at these Zords, and even I said that in the last issue. I was like, man, these Zords look run down, they look destroyed, they look beat up, and Billy kind of says something along those lines when they're about to get into the Falcon Zord, and Saba's like, looks can be deceiving. And so they get inside the Falcon Zord, it works, they take off, and they are flying in the Falcon Zord. So that was very, very awesome to see in this issue, which is just so cool. And so it just continues on. They escape away from Lord Draken, and then it goes back to Angel Grove. So the parents, and the school of Angel Grove, they are aware that Billy and Tommy are missing due to, the attack that happened in Angel Grove. I really like that about this comic, this series, is that it dives into more of that humanistic perspective, which we've seen somewhat, obviously, in the show too. They did that, but even more so here, where we kind of get to see the community and parents, their reaction to what's happening outside of just the Rangers world. Bulk and Skull, they obviously play that kind of key role, I would say, for Power Rangers, where we get that humanistic perspective of what's happening in the world of Power Rangers. But it's also cool to kind of see, like, the community and, parents, like wondering like what's happening with our kids and why they're always missing, and all these monsters attacking the city and so on and so forth. I just think that was unique to briefly see in these comics, which is really fun. And so then it goes back to Rita Repulsa, flashes over after, we leave from Angel Grove. Rita, is aware that Tommy and Billy, are lost into the Black Dragon's world. And so she kind of uses this as an advantage, since both of them are gone and the Rangers, are kind of vulnerable right now. They don't have their whole team, together. So she's using this opportunity to hit the city hard, to attack the city. And Goldar, and the rest of the crew and Finster, they're curious about what her plans are. And she says, oh, Goldar, she's making a better you. A better Goldar. My speculation, if you guys remember from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series, the TV series, Goldar had a Zord of his own. So I'm wondering if that's what she's talking about, if that's kind of what she means by making a better you when she's referring to Goldar. That's kind of where my mind goes, and I'm assuming that's what we're gonna get. Kind of going forward. But I mean, these issues have been surprising me, so it could be something totally different. But based off of my knowledge from the TV series, I'm assuming that we'll probably see the Zord that Goldar had in the show be presented in the comic. So let me know your thoughts on that, guys. But that's just my speculation. Continuing on, it goes back to Black Dragon's world, backward. Tommy and Billy are. And they're in the Falcon Zord. They finally land down. They're like north of where they were before, running away from, Lord Draken. And Saba, he's telling them, what they need to do and, what their next steps are, obviously. He says they're going to like begin a hike of somewhat in the morning. And then he mentions so they land the Falcon Zord in these woods, right? And he talks about the woods are believed to belong to the Coinless, a resistance of sorts. United against Lord Draken, they will be who we seek out and join forces with. So the Coinless, resistance, remember that. And, Billy and Tommy, they're like, hey, wait a second. We don't even know what this world is about. We don't know who these people are that you're trying to team us up with. We need to know a little more information before we just, venture out on a mission. We want to get back home, first of all. And so we need to know what this world is. And so they mention that. And, Saba agrees. And so Saba gives us the laydown and the backstory of Lord Draken, which is just, oh gosh, this is where I started to just like, I mean, I was already on the edge of my seat already, reading this issue, number 12. And so it picks up, so when Saba gives us the backstory of Lord Draken, it starts where, if you remember in the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger series, when the Green Ranger was evil and then the Red Ranger destroyed the Sword of Darkness. That's where it starts, okay? So it starts there, the Rangers are fighting each other, the Red Ranger destroys the Sword of Darkness, and then Tommy is freed from Rita's spell. But in this particular world, and then Saba also mentioned something, there are, situations that are mirrored in this world and in the Rangers that we know in their world. So there are situations that are the same, some things that happen pretty much the same that they can relate to. Like, yeah, that happened in my world as well. So in this world, in Lord Draken's world, after the Sword of Darkness was destroyed, Tommy was freed from Rita's spell, but he made his own choice. Just like he did in the world that we know where he chose to team up with the Rangers, in this world, he chose to submit to Rita Repulsa and serve her. And Saba, mentioned something. His exact words were, and whether it was the disenchantment with the status quo or the allure of more power, Tommy ultimately chose to stay loyal to Rita Repulsa. And then we see this image where, I mean, he's, with Goldar and putties and that pumpkin wrapper monsters in the back. Oh man, it's just like a totally different take of what would have happened if Tommy chose something different. And that's the result in this particular world. We see that, Tommy made a different choice, and he chose to serve Lord Rita. And so, cities were burned down, leaders gave in, apologists made excuses, more cities fell under Rita's control, and more people normalized to her rule. And then, we see this image, and people began to embrace it. And so, there's a hashtag in the yard of one of the, in the neighborhood of Angel Grove, let Rita rule. So it looks like people all over the world have begun to give in to Rita Repulsa and the Green Ranger, and now in this world, in this Angel Grove, Rita has kind of finally got what she wanted. She finally did it. She finally kind of got the Earth to submit to her rule and kind of overrule the Power Rangers in a sense. And so it flashes over, and Zordon, is one of his last, creations. At this time, he created the White Ranger, the power. And so, if harnessed, it could create a Ranger stronger than any that had come before. And so, the obvious choice at this time was Jason Lee Scott. So, the Red Ranger, he was going to be the White Ranger. And in something Saba mentions in this flashback, Jason Scott was a logical choice. And so, on the eve of what would be known as the Fall of the Rangers, they worked to harness the white light. And then also something I noticed, after, I looked back on this comic a second time, I seen Ninjor in this issue, which was pretty cool. I was like, we don't see any dialogue of Ninjor, but nonetheless, he's in this comic. And then, we flash over, and we also see the Alien Rangers and the Tiger Zord as well. So we see the Alien Rangers, they're teamed up with the Power Rangers on this eve of what's called the Fall of the Rangers. And basically, what it is the Green Ranger, and Goldar and Putties and Scorpina and all of Rita's army against the Power Rangers. It is a war that is happening now, and this image is just like, holy crap, this is crazy to think of what could have happened if Tommy chose to go down a different route. And that's the result, obviously, like I said, that happened in this particular world. And so now Jason, what the Rangers are doing, they're fighting off, the Green Ranger and Goldar and Rita's army to buy Jason time to harness the power of the white light. And so while he's in the, command center trying to do that, eventually, Green Ranger, he gets word about this, and he breaks in. He and Jason, start fighting, and he tells Jason, this is your last chance. And, the Rangers keep fighting. They're getting overwhelmed by putties and the monsters. And Green Ranger, he tells the Red Ranger to swear allegiance, and you'll be spared. And the Red Ranger says that's never going to happen. And so they continue to fight, and then it starts getting even more brutal, dude. So the Green Ranger says, well, it was your choice. And he's got the Red Ranger, he's holding his hand on his neck, got him pinned up against the wall. And the Red Ranger is holding Sabo. This is just a really crazy, awesome scene right here. And then the Green Ranger says at the end, now then, about that new power. After that, we see the Rangers, they're still fighting, putties off. And so it flashes over, we see this image of Tommy. He's holding, the Red Ranger's helmet. It's like cracked. And then, now we see where the fusion happened, as Tommy, harnessed the white light. And we see that fusion of the Green Ranger and the White Ranger, which created Lord Draken. And so that was the beginning of our end. That's what, Saba tells them. And I didn't even know that Saba could do this, but, it's kind of like, what do you call it? Kind of a little visual thing that he can do, with the saber, which is cool, where he's kind of giving them this visual picture of what happened. And, you know, Tommy and Billy, they're like, geez, I can't believe this happened. And Tommy, you know, the Tommy that we know, you know, he's like, I know this isn't me, but it is me, even if it's in an alternate timeline, or a different version of me. And he kind of, you know, is feeling the weight of, you know, this story and this history of what happened, you know, and they definitely know that this is awful. And, you know, Tommy's kind of curious, like, you know, is this what's going to happen to me? Or is it, you know, something that, you know, that's just, you know, being delayed? Like, is it going to happen in our future? You know, he's got all these questions now. And then after that, you know, after they have that little bit of a dialogue, we see like this yellow lightning rope thing that wraps around Billy and Tommy. And, the words that we see, to say nothing of reviving a dead Zord to get here. So, why don't you all explain who you really are? And I believe, I'm pretty sure, that is Aisha and Trini. And I don't know who that guy is in the back. It kind of looks like Bulk to me. I could be wrong. I don't know. But, holy crap. I'm pretty sure that is Aisha and Trini teamed up together. They're both... It only makes sense. They're both wearing yellow. That looks like Aisha. That looks like Trini in this world. And they are teamed up together. They are the coinless resistance, is what I'm assuming. And that is awesome. So we get to see Aisha at the end of this and Trini teamed up together. And like I said, it kind of looks like Bulk in the back, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I guess we shall find out. But that's the end of that issue. And then... obviously, at the end of these comics, you get that Bulk and Skull story, which is just a nice little fun, comedic, refreshing, you know, story of Bulk and Skull and their crazy little adventures. So you guys can check that out as well. Just know that that's at the end of most of the Power Ranger issues. But holy crap, man, this whole issue was just phenomenal. It left me on the edge of my seat. If you guys read it, let me know your thoughts. What did you think about it? What are your speculations? What are your hopes for the next issue? Man, I love what they are doing with this story, with this comic, with the series. It is just so fun and refreshing. But it's also staying true to Power Rangers, and I love that. And man, I'm so grateful that, you know, I was able to read it and give you guys my thoughts on it. So, did you read Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, issue 12? If you did, let me know what you thought about it. Comment on this video. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you are new, as I always have new content coming out every Saturday morning, guys. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay in touch and to support. And as always, thank you so much, guys, for supporting and tuning in. And until next time, guys, well, I will see you back here for issue 13. Peace.